Welcome to the commentary booth, where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I am joined by a rotating cast of color commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a teacher, travel blogger, constant vet visitor who lists their favorite movie as Fight Club and favorite TV show as Band of Brothers. Welcome back to the show, Buddy McClelland.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Nice adventurous couple of weeks for you since
Oh,
we last spoke.
yeah. Had she broken her leg last time when I spoke to you?
No, that was like the day after.
Right. So yeah, I got my new English Cocker Spaniel, cute as little puppy. I'd go and get her, but she's sound asleep and I don't want to wake her. But very cute little black English Cocker Spaniel puppy with giant ears that are so long that we have to give her a headband like Anne's scrunchie when she eats her dinner, so her ears don't droop in her own food. But unfortunately, she was playing fetch, jumped the wrong way, landed funny, and broke her tibia. So she's been in a cast for a month. Was supposed to get it off yesterday, and now has a cast, another bigger cast, because she outgrew it, on for another 3 weeks. So we've been frequent flyers at the vet. But yeah, thankfully the local vet are really good. We go to the Green Cross vets. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're really good. We've got their Healthy Pets Plus, so we're going to get pet insurance. And we kind of lent towards. They've got their own sort of subscription service thing where it's $40 a month, and you get unlimited vet checkups, unlimited 24-hour web vet calls, and discounts on things. So
Yep.
still very expensive, but thankfully with that, it's a lot easier to get the care that she needs because she's been back there so many times.
Yep. Yeah, I've got the same thing with the vet here in Shell Harbour. It's just like $36 or $40 a month or something. You get the discounts and everything and unlimited appointments, but yeah, then any treatment that is involved, you just pay for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for an X-ray, and she has to get, obviously with a broken leg, she has to get a couple of X-rays. They have to put them under, so it's like $600 an X-ray. It's been an experience. She's expensive. She's lucky I love her. But she's slowly getting there. She's a celebrity at the local vet. All the nurses really love her, so much so that yesterday the vet nurses at Fairy Meadow, where she goes, she came back out with the cast on, but they'd gone to the trouble of getting other bits of tape, like the sticky tape that they use, and cutting out different coloured love hearts and sticking them on her cast. So now she has a love heart cast.
Good. So yeah, it's not just the regular like, hey, it's a pink cast. It's all decorated.
Yeah, so this one's an orange cast. She had a pink one originally. This one's orange with pink and blue love hearts stuck to it.
Only your dog. Only your dog.
Yeah, she's a celebrity there. They love her, but they're really nice. So we're lucky that we can go back. But they actually really, I'm sure all vets care, but they really make a big effort for us. So we appreciate it.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad she gets along with the vets, but it's also like, I kind of wish she wasn't here as much as she is to be
Yeah,
here
well,
at the moment.
it should have been today, is the day that she could have gone walking for the first time with her vaccinations being all done. So that's going to wait another 3 weeks. And with work going back to normal next week, I'm going to have to work out how to supervise her because she obviously can't go to daycare or puppy play groups or anything like that. So yeah, it's going to have to be a bit of a mission to take care of her, but we'll get there.
A whole big like community effort of who's available today to look.
Yeah. Are you available?
If you wanted to get brutalized by Toby and Jazz.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. I would love for that to happen, but with a broken leg, we can't.
Yeah, you can't. It's just too much risk.
Yeah.
And I'm also moving soon, so.
Oh, true. For going down the coast?
Yep. Yeah, we got approved for a place in Warragee. So thank God that stress is gone now.
Yeah, okay. When do you move?
The 2nd of November.
Oh, that's not far.
Yep. Yeah, so we got approved on Friday, get the keys on the 1st, move on the 2nd. Yep. Hopefully finish moving by lunchtime so I can watch the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, back to Niara.
Yep. Yeah.
Old country.
It was quite a bit cheaper down there. And my brother works down there, so it's like he has to be up and at work by 6, so it's probably a bit easier if he's down there rather than up here.
Yeah, fair enough.
apart from that, just been watching copious amounts of Netflix and whatever again. Have you checked anything special out?
I have now being in lockdown, and now I'm kind of in an enforced puppy lockdown because I can't go anywhere because she's stuck. So I've pretty much now, I think I've subscribed to everything, including Paramount Plus now. I even got onto, I went in a weird stage for a while there, and there's one called Gaia.
Okay.
You seen that one?
No, I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. I get like a targeted ad, and it was like a meditation alternate viewpoint one. So I thought I'll give that a run. It was weird.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, so I thankfully got rid of that one before the end of the free trial was up. But yeah, I've been across pretty much everything. I went on another big sports run, so I started. I noticed on Amazon Prime because I'm slowly. I do want to get to the new Pack to the Rafters, the Back to the Rafters new season because I was a massive Pack to the Rafters addict back in the mid 2000s whenever it was running. So I'm trying to get to there, but being the super fan that I am and that Ian is, we decided that we would go through from the start again. So there's 6 seasons to get through of that. We're at 5 at the moment. So a lot of Amazon Prime viewing has been happening to get through that. But I noticed that the new season of All or Nothing came out with the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team.
Yep.
So I've been watching that, which hockey is not something like I like pretty much all sports and pretty happy to watch most things except test match cricket. But hockey is not something that I'd really. I always found it really hard to watch because the puck is just so small on such a big field, rink, whatever it is. That it's just I found it hard to watch. But this is a really cool way to watch it, and it's another really good, well-made, well-narrated season of All or Nothing. I think the production is fantastic. Every season I've watched, I've really enjoyed, and the Maple Leafs wasn't any different. I found that it's really interesting to me to watch sports stars that in their own right in Toronto are a massive deal, but to me here in Australia, I've never even heard of the names, heard of the person, no idea who they are. So you come out with like a blank mindset, which I find quite cool.
Yep.
And it's another one of those COVID riddled seasons, so I guess it makes it interesting, but I think with everything, like we keep saying, it's going to be an undertone of in reality shows of COVID pandemic for a while. It's interesting. They do it from the perspective of the players, the coach, the business managers, and like I said, it's really well made, really interesting, and it follows the seasons. You get really amped up and into it. But I guess, as is always the problem with the All or Nothing show, they can't control the ending. And I'm still, other than Man City and a couple of other times, it's really hard to watch them without giving away the ending. But you can always watch the ending and know the sports result. That it kind of fizzles out because the season kind of fizzled out. So you get really invested and you love these players and you really want them to win, but because the directors and the producers obviously can't control the outcome, I don't know. I find it kind of like watching Remember the Titans, and you get really invested in it. But imagine kind of Remember the Titans, and they get to the end and they just lose.
Yeah, they just get to a final and lose straight away. And it's like, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, it's like the Mighty Ducks, and they got their clothes, they got their kit, and all that happened was they got beaten and they went home.
Yep.
So I mean, I loved the show, and I loved every episode except the last one because the last one I just wanted it to keep going, which is a testament to how good it was. And I just wanted it to keep going, and then I realized in the last one it was all kind of falling through, and it kind of just was a sad ending, I guess, a disappointing ending. But I guess that's the season, that's sport. You have disappointing endings to seasons, and I guess that makes the show similar.
So do you feel like it's a good sort of introduction to ice hockey for someone that's not really watched it before?
Yeah, definitely, because I'm someone that's not watched it before, and I found it interesting. And if, I mean, it depends how into contact sport you are, but just to see, it's the only sport in the world where it can somehow just turn into boxing on ice. As long as there's only 2 people in the fight and one of them doesn't fall to the ground, the referees just stand back and let them throw their gloves off, and they just bare knuckle box. And it's normal. Like, it's a part of the game where they actually encourage it to turn the momentum of the game. And I mean, there was a big injury to the captain of the Maple Leafs. It was just completely accidental, and I felt bad for the guy that did it. But one of them got checked, the captain. He goes down, and as he's sliding, another guy tries to jump over him. and accidentally just knees him square in the face, and
Ooh.
it fully concusses him, fully knocks him out. He ends up having a really bad sort of a concussion where he kind of comes to, but then wants to fight the medics off of him. It's really graphic, really hard to watch. And knowing that his family was watching it was really tough. But then you feel bad for the guy that did it, because even when the referees come over to the other team and they say, "Look, we reviewed it. It was completely an accident." You can see him try to get past him and jump over him. You just know this guy's about to get belted.
Mm.
And they do. They don't even. The referee drops the puck. They don't even look at it. They throw their gloves off and they just start punching.
Straight at that bloke.
Yeah, crazy. So, I mean, to see a sport that has different rules and like I said, a sport that you might not be into, I guess it would be pretty similar for people from North America watching the sort of the AFL documentaries or Tiger Town or whatever, and watching our shows if they ever do. But it's interesting for someone that comes from a perspective of no hockey to get to know the game, get to know the players, and get to know how big a deal it is somewhere other than here.
Do you feel you'll now watch a live game if you see it pop up on Foxtel or something?
I don't know that if it was a Maple Leafs game, which shows you how much I invested in the team. If it was a Maple Leafs game, I would. But I would definitely be, like, I went to North America and we travelled around there for a good month and a half, and I watched an NBA game. I went to an NFL game. We did Knicks, we did Philadelphia Eagles versus the Giants, and we did those sports things. But I wouldn't necessarily go to watch a hockey game then. But now I would, particularly if I could get the Maple Leafs, because now I feel like if I didn't have a team before. Now I feel invested in them, so I kind of feel like they're the team I support.
Yep. So yeah, now they've done what they've done: soccer, hockey,
Done
NFL.
soccer, they've done hockey, they did the All Blacks rugby union, they did multiple. They started off with obviously the NFL season, so they've done the Cardinals, they did the Eagles, they did the LA Rams, and then they also did a college season for, I can't remember which college team it was, but that was quite interesting to see a college season as well. So they've done a real mix of sports. I have heard, I'm not sure if it's the all or nothing team, but I have heard, hopefully, that Arsenal for the EPL is being followed around this year too.
Yeah, I think that is all or nothing. I think that is all or nothing this year.
Well, they probably, if you want another disappointing ending, Arsenal's probably the team to pick.
Yeah, not the greatest start to the season so far.
No, bit of a turnaround though. We're getting there.
Slowly
But I
coming back.
did hear that they were blaming the filming crew, which is interesting. I wonder how much impact it has on these teams. But they were blaming the film crew being there, which they'll blame anything at this point. But yeah, interesting to see how much impact the filming crew might have, good or bad, on a season.
Yeah, I suppose like you can try and just put it out of your mind, but everyone knows it. Hey, there's a camera on me at all times, recording everything that's happening at training and in the locker room and stuff. So it's got to impact people.
Yeah, I mean,
just
they used to blame
subconsciously.
the thing on them, but I think in these scenarios, they kind of know that they're being profiled more. And there's even a part with the Maple Leafs that one of the players was like, "Oh, I hope this isn't my cameo or my intro," and it was like him eating a weird cereal or something random. But it's obviously they know that they're getting a more in-depth following, and some of the players have their families looked at and things like that too, so they give them a lot of access. But to the credit of the show, the way that they do it is that they wait. Obviously, they have the package of the family, but they wait until something big happens for that player to introduce them into the episode. So they don't just randomly go, "This is this player," and follow them through a nothing episode. They'll wait until, say, the player gets a hat trick or an award or an injury or whatever it might be, and then they introduce the profile. So the way that they do it kind of has a lot of continuity and is actually interesting.
Yeah, it makes it feel more natural rather than sort of planned out and contrived.
Definitely. It would be weird if they just went through sort of the order of the team, like 1 to 12 or whatever it might be.
Yep. And you were watching a couple. Actually, looking at your list, it's pretty much all somewhat sport based.
Yeah, I went
Like
for
the
a
classic
mix.
Buddy.
The other big one that I'll talk about today, Bad Sport on Netflix. Have you seen that one come up?
I've seen it pop up, but I haven't watched any of it yet.
Really cool. So I went through and watched all 6. I only just finished it this morning. So it's a volume 1. So hopefully they're going to bring back and do it again. But it's a crossover between true crime and sport, and it's all within fairly recent era. I mean, some of the episodes are closer, like you or I would have watched them as kids, the teams play, and some of them you wouldn't. But they do a mix of sports, and they follow the crimes that happen within them. So it starts out with college basketball, and a guy named Hedek, who was supposed to be going from Arizona State into the NBA. He should have been drafted, but he got himself caught up in gambling, and then ended up owing his bookmaker a stack of money. And to make that money back and then start making a profit, he started shaving points from his games. And it's a real insight into how people will try to get away with these things. And it was pretty crazy. He was that good that they don't shave points. So I always thought people must just throw games, like it's real cardinal sin of sport to throw a game and to not play the best you can and play fairly. But the way that they do it is they work in the betting margins. So they might not need a team to necessarily lose. They might just need them to win by only a certain amount. So rather than lose, he was trying to get the team to win, say, only by... It needed to be by 12 points, but the bookmaker kept shaving the points down to give himself a buffer, and he would tell Headache, you can only win by 6 points, and these games, he was winning them by the exact amount of points. He was that good. Eventually it leaked out and they got caught. So that's the first episode, but then it runs through a few different things. So they do point-shaving basketball. They do a race car driver who funded his entire racing team on dealing drugs and dealing huge amounts of marijuana. Like, they filled the bottoms of the container ships you see out in the ocean with, it was like 80,000 kilos at a time of marijuana.
That's a lot.
They did Olympic figure skating, which was the officials being bribed. Juventus got done for organised crime in the early 2000s because they were manipulating referees, which started out weird of them just like locking a referee in the ref's room and leaving him there, but then it got to a point of destroying careers and all sorts of things like that. The most interesting one I found, though, and that was the saddest, but the most interesting, there was equestrian, which is not something that I thought people would manipulate and go bad in, but there was a horse hitman in an equestrian league in America that the people that were riding, and they were really high-profile business people, high-profile sort of Olympic-level equestrian riders, they can insure their horses for, it was like $150,000, $250,000. You know how much horses are worth. And they can inflate the prices of those horses. So when things weren't going right, they would get this guy in and they would get him to basically murder the horses so they could claim the money back and come square financially on these horses. And he would just go out and he said it was like just going down to the local horse park, and people would just walk up to him and just ask him like it wasn't even illegal. And he had a way of murdering these horses basically that was supposed to be undetectable. So eventually they found him out. But yeah, really crazy that you'd think someone would have a horse hitman.
Yeah, that's not the way I would expect there to be a crime in equestrian or horse racing or anything.
Yeah, so you think it's like this nice, lovely, caring sport, but I guess it's filled. A lot of the time you do hear that CEOs and things are kind of sociopaths, that they don't care about others and lives and things, and it really fit the bill in this one. But yeah, and the last one was a cricket match fixing from a South African guy. So a real mix of...
That's the one I've seen, the Hansi Cronje one. I've seen
that's the one, yeah. Yeah, I found that it was a really interesting show. I mean, people that really like true crime, I think it's a good mix between people like me that like sport and people like, I guess, Leo that loves true crime. You can get that mix in there at the same time, and it's a really good idea. And they found some really interesting crimes, and the way they interview all the people that are in it. So it's not just from an external perspective. You get the first person retell of the criminals that actually did it most of the time. So yeah, really interesting watch. Hour-long episodes, 6-part series, and I found all of them really interesting. And it was nice to have a mix of sports in that sense, that it wasn't just one type of sport, and it wasn't just the sports you think.
Yep. Just quick hello to Miss Alex who's in the chat. Um, so yeah, like it feels like it's a great way to sort of get couples, like you said, like you're a sports fan, and then if your partner is like a true crime fan, it's a good way to get a couple to sit down and watch a Netflix show that isn't just like a drama or a comedy show or something.
Yeah, definitely. And like for me, I don't mind true crime, but sometimes psychopathic murderers that cut people and whatever is just too much for me.
A bit much.
I enjoy, yeah, the true crime where people don't really get. I guess in this case, the horses got electrocuted and all sorts of things, but where people don't generally get too harmed. I guess they wouldn't be able to interview people that have done crimes to that level, I guess, and so it's yeah, it's a nice level for me of true crime at the same time as enjoying sport. It definitely would be a crossover for couples, I think.
Yep. Yeah, you're more of a like a Tiger King true crime or the making a
Yeah,
murderer true crimes.
yeah, ones that make you go, oh, not want to vomit.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do the occasional one, but I'm not the person that can sit there and just go through people being eaten and stuff.
Yep. We get a new Tiger King soon. In the next like month or two, we get season 2 of Tiger King.
It's good. Got to keep him relevant.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how they incorporate that into a second season.
Mm.
Um,
Maybe if they put him in another season, he'll financially recover finally.
yeah, maybe. On the sort of crime front, I watched a couple of sort of murder mystery type shows. The first one was on Netflix, Clickbait. Have you checked that one out?
I haven't checked it out. I've seen it in the menus though.
Yep. So yeah, it's a drama series starring Adrian Grenier, now streaming on Netflix, as I mentioned, and he plays a character called Nick Brewer, who's this family man who suddenly goes missing, and after a short period of time, his family are all looking for him, and his sister discovers a video of him on the internet where he's being sort of held hostage in this room, and he has a sign that says, "I abuse women, and at 5 million views, I die." So this is like, it's kind of like the what's that website called where it's just like Live Leak, where it's all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hectic videos, and it's basically they're live streaming him in this room, and when it hits 5 million, they're going to kill him. So it then becomes this like manic chase to try and discover where he is and who's taken him. And instead of like following the whole cast at once, it kind of each episode drills down and focuses on a single person connected to him. So the first episode is obviously his sister, and then it goes to his wife, and then his kids, and people that he works with, and the reporters and the investigators, and just like goes through their lives and tries to link like maybe it was this person. And I think that's the most interesting part of the show, because each episode makes you think, oh, this person did it, and then at the end it'll give you a reason why they didn't. Like the whole
Okay.
time you're kind of like thinking, oh, maybe it's this person, and then it's giving you all these clues to suggest that yeah, it probably is this person, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, just tricking you, not actually
Yeah,
this
I
person.
enjoy those stories where they decide to tell the story. Like instead of making a really long, thin story, they try and tell it with a lot of depth.
Yep, yeah, and like it comes at it from different angles too. So like
Yeah,
each episode feels fresh because it's telling a similar story but in a new way. So that was cool. And it sort of overall the whole show kind of deals with the dangers of online dating and catfishing and the craziness of viral videos. How quickly like it starts off when his sister finds a video, it's only on like 50,000 plays or something, and then by the end of the day, it's up over 200,000 just because it starts getting shared around, and then more and more people get it, and it just exponentially increases the speed at which it's hitting millions of plays,
yeah,
which is scary. Like how
it is.
quickly things can just go whoop off the charts.
Yeah, we were only talking about the other day. Do you remember the egg on Instagram?
Sort
It
of.
was just a photo of an egg, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden it started getting all these followers, and then just once it hit a certain amount of people, it just snowballed, And so I think we looked at it the other day and we could have just randomly started talking about it, but I think it still has like over 5 million followers on Instagram. It's an egg. Like anything can go viral.
Yeah, like it just takes a couple of people talking about it, and then all of a sudden it just goes mental. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously, when it's a situation like this, where at 5 million views the person dies, that's gonna go through the roof quickly because it's gonna be people checking in to see like, is this real? Like, and then it just the word of mouth gets out there and just goes off the charts.
Yeah.
And so over the course of the 8 episodes, like there are a couple of episodes that are a bit like thin, and you're like, how is this sort of connected? And they probably could have been cut, and we could have sort of had one or two where instead of giving an individual just one episode, we gave them two to kind of just dig a little bit deeper into the connections and story there. So there were a couple of elements that I would have changed. Some of the acting isn't incredible. There's some points where it's like, oh, this feels very low budget. And it's set in Oakland, California, but primarily shot in and around Melbourne, which was
That's cool.
interesting. You sort of pick up on bits and pieces. It's not like the center of Melbourne. Like you don't really see Fed Square or anything, but you just like see some of the signs. And you're like, that looks kind of more Australian than an American sign and things like that.
Car just drives down the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, I don't think that happens, but yeah.
Better production value than that.
Yeah, I think that they paid a little bit of attention. And obviously, it got like this show kind of went viral in itself. It was the most viewed Netflix show for 3 straight weeks.
Wow.
It was the most watched Netflix show in the US and UK in September. It's the 4th biggest show they've had globally. And I think the only show that kind of has gone more viral more quickly on Netflix has been Squid Game.
Yeah.
That show went crazy. Have you checked Squid Game yet?
I have, but it's that weird situation where people are either doing it in the English dub or with the subtitles. I tried to do it with the English dub. I love the show. I haven't finished it, but I'm probably 3/4 of the way through. Interesting idea, but I'm having a hard time with the dub, like with the fake voices.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the greatest dubbing, but yeah, I guess that's what you got to deal with if you're going to watch a Korean show.
Yeah, creepy though when I go to school, like to work, or even when I'm in my apartment, I saw a lot of really young people have watched it, or have at least made out that they've watched it. Like they're playing red light, green light, and they're like 7.
Yeah, but I suppose red light, green light is just like a kid's game. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah, but where they got it, and they know where they got it from. Like it's.
Oh yeah, yeah. There'd be a lot of kids playing red light, green light now that have got it from Squid Game, not.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing. When things go viral, that people of the wrong persuasion can start to watch it. Like, I mean, when things go viral like that, kids watch it. Like the parental controls on Netflix for them probably easy to get around. But yeah, a lot of kids are way too young to be. Oh, I found it gruesome. So
yeah, it's pretty
full on
at times. Yeah, I like Squid Game, but yeah, like you're saying, like the subtitles is tough. Like every time I find that I try and watch something with subtitles, I end up just reading the subtitles and not actually paying attention to the show. So I kind of just dealt with the dodgy dub.
Yeah, I try to do the same because she has selective hearing. We've got her hearing tested, and it's fine. But when we watch TV, we have to have the subtitles because if we don't, I spend the whole show explaining what just happened. And what did they say? And what did they say? And what did they say? So at least with the subtitles on, that happens. But I do the same thing. I find that, especially if I watch a comedy show, like if you watch stand-up comedy with subtitles, ruins it. Because you just read the punchline before they say it.
Yeah, and you don't get the proper delivery and timing.
Yeah, and I waste a lot of time reading it too, because we went back through Game of Thrones through lockdown. We're probably 3/4 through that too. But the amount of time you read things that, I guess, if you're hearing impaired, you would need. But the amount of time we read the words horse whinnies, just things that you don't really need to read and I waste time looking at, is phenomenal. In every movie I watch, if the horse comes on, I guarantee you the subtitles will say horse whinnies. I don't even know what a whinny is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. What the heck?
Yeah,
What
now
does
if
that
you
even
watch some
mean?
of the subtitles and watch it say horse whinnies.
Okay. When we get off here, I'm gonna Google horse whinnies and find out what the heck that even means.
Yeah, I thought they neighed, but I guess they whinny.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Interesting.
You learned something.
There's your piece of vital information from the commentary booth this week.
Yeah, horses whinny.
Okay. And the other crime show I watched is the show Vigil on Binge. Do you still have Binge?
I have Binge. I've been using it for Game of Thrones only.
Okay. Well, give up on the Game of Thrones because you know it only goes downhill from here.
Yeah, it's true.
And switch over to Vigil because this show is incredible.
Okay.
It's 6 episodes, about an hour each. It's a British police crime drama series, and it focuses on an investigator from Scotland who's tasked with. They send her out onto HMS Vigil, a Navy submarine, after a Scottish fishing trawler suddenly disappears, and then a crew member is found dead on board HMS Vigil. So she gets sent out there to investigate what happened to this fishing trawler and what happened to this person on the boat, on the ship, submarine.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. And but basically because this submarine is part of the UK's naval nuclear prevention program, so they have the codes for the nuclear bombs on board, and because of that, they're not allowed to stop or dock in port for an extended period. So she gets flown out on a helicopter, dropped on the submarine, and they just keep going, and she's just stuck on the ship until they decide that she's solved it or they can send her back.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. It's got elements of that murder mystery. It's got elements of government cover-ups with the fishing trawler going down. There's espionage, so there's spies and Russia and all sorts of crazy things involved. And then there's obviously, as a lot of shows do, they have a random romantic sub B plot, which was kind of unnecessary, but it was okay. It didn't like get in the way of the main plot, which was good.
You let them go. They've been on the submarine for a long time.
Yep. Yeah. Just like awesome performances, really captivating story where you're like, oh, what's going on? Where's the next twist or turn going to come from? So I was fully invested and watched all 6 episodes in 2 nights.
I'll have to get onto it.
So yeah, definitely check that one out.
Nice.
Random quiz for you, Mr. Army Man.
Oh, I love it.
In the Navy, what do they designate submarines as? Ships or boats?
I'm going with boat.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well done.
U-boat. That made me think of that.
Yeah, they're designated as boats. They're not ships.
Weird.
They're boats.
I don't know what you would call them. I don't know if I can handle going on one. I'm not too bad, like claustrophobic wise, but I don't really like the idea of being that far under. I hate the idea of sinking.
Yeah, well, there was that submarine that just randomly disappeared in Indonesia recently. Like, that's scary stuff. You just,
It is. It
just
really is.
especially because when they're underwater, they're not really showing up on anything. It's just they're just going on what they broadcast back every now and then, and they just don't broadcast back. It's like, oh, that submarine disappeared. We don't know.
Yeah, I guess in my head, if you're in a plane, at least you fall back down to Earth, and there's a chance. But if you're in a submarine, you don't fall up.
Yep. Yeah, you just get deeper and deeper, and then
You just get
eventually,
worse off until eventually you're stuffed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to be in a submarine. Like, yeah,
No.
very tight, confined spaces, and it's dark.
Yeah.
You're underwater. Even if you wanted to get out, like, there's really no way to just be like, I'm out. Bye.
Yeah. No fly screens on the window so you can get a breeze.
Yep. It's just aircon the whole time.
Oh, no thanks.
And like I said, like this is an incredible show, and the ratings kind of proved that point as well. Episode 1 had 10.2 million viewers in the UK in its
Wow.
first 7 days, making it the most watched BBC drama of 2021.
Wow.
Definitely check that one out. That's
Yeah, Vigil.
a
Okay.
very, very good show. And then obviously back to sport. You finished Ted Lasso. I'm assuming you finished it.
I did finish Ted Lasso. That was a good one. Yeah, everyone loves Ted Lasso. Like, if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, what are you doing at this point? Like, he's just so endearing. I love the last season. I know you've already spoken about it, but I mean, for me particularly, I think the way that they linked in Ted's challenges with mental health, I found really cool, and it was really nice to see in the mainstream media that was being taken as part of a storyline and looked at in a positive way, as Ted Lasso does with everything. They managed to make it a little bit more villainous with some of the characters, and I think at first I was worried that Ted Lasso would fizzle out, and I just don't think it's going to.
Yeah, there was a concern. Obviously, after that first season, it was just going to be this happy-go-lucky show the entire time. But I think this season they took it to a different level and added a lot of depth to the characters. And yeah, Nate's turn throughout the season was so well done, I think.
Yeah, do you notice his hair changed color?
Yes, there was quite a few hints that he was going bad the whole time.
Yeah.
When you look back and like think about the entire season as a whole, you see
Yeah.
those signs. Like his hair starts off colored and then just slowly becomes more and more gray as the season goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once Keely introduces him into wearing suits,
Yeah.
so he begins with a blue suit, and then as the season gets on, they get darker and darker, and then
You
by
know.
the final episode, he's wearing all black.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Good. And I like the way that the EPL clubs are on board with it too. Like that, no one's been a pain about not letting them use sort of Man City or big club names.
And West Ham.
West Ham, like it's cool that they're actually involving the actual clubs.
Yep, Brentford was in the last episode as well. Like,
Yeah.
just a really well done show. Obviously, they must be spending a ton of money on that show. I'd hate to
Yeah,
see the
surely.
budget
But I
on
mean, they must be making a ton on it too.
just with the EPL rights. They're probably paying a fortune.
Yeah. Worth it. Worth it.
And then also on Apple TV, I checked out the new show that's on there now, the sci-fi show called Foundation.
I tried to watch Foundation and I had a really hard time with
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
it.
Like
Look,
I can,
I come from a household. My dad loved Isaac Asimov sci-fi, which is probably where I get the space nerd thing from, which probably linked me into what I'm talking about next. But I went into that with a really open mind and just had a hard time getting into the story.
yeah, I just feel like there was so much to it. Like it was a very meta, and like you had to really sit and concentrate through every episode to get what they were trying to present to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, Isaac Asimov based show, follows a 1,000-year saga of the Foundation, who are basically exiled, and because their leader like did some crazy maths that predicted that the galaxy was going to end or some. Like I said, it was hard to watch. There was a lot going on. I was like, I'm so lost.
Yeah.
I watched a few episodes, and then I think I got halfway through the season. And I was like, you know what? I'm still so confused. I don't think I can finish this season. It's going to be one of those ones where I think I'll wait until it ends, see what people's overall opinion is of the season, and whether it kind of pays off in the end or not. And then if it has super high ratings at the end, I might finish the season just to try and close it out. But yeah, at this point, I'm tapping out. There's too much there for me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fizzler for me too. I think the best thing that it did for me was that it got me excited for. They had an ad for Invasion or something like that. I think that was another Apple TV sci-fi thing that they were talking about. And I just wanted that to start and the other one to end.
Yep. Yeah, Invasion I have as marked down as a buddy thing. Like that looks really good.
Yeah, it does. So hopefully that, and it looks like a bit more action-packed and easy to follow. So I'd say save the sci-fi till then.
Yeah, like this show that obviously the production value is super high, like as Apple does, like they put out really high quality stuff. But yeah, just the story was just way too much. It was like, I feel like I'm constantly having lore thrown at me without grasping what they just presented to me.
Yeah, I think from memory, like I tried because, like I said, my dad's a big fan. I tried to read some of the books, and I found the books exactly the same. So it's not surprising. I think if you were a very deep sci-fi fan, that you'd be able to do it. But yeah, it's hard for people on the fringes.
Yep. Yeah, so that's all I've watched. What were you mentioning with the space nerd stuff?
Oh, I went in. I guess you know what, that weird Gaia thing, to go back to it, had a few of them that led me into it. A few UFO documentaries, but they were weird ones. But then I ended up getting Paramount Plus, just to check it out, and they had a 4-part series called UFO, um, and it was really good. Like it got me hooked into the alien thing again, and I kind of go in waves of wonderment, I guess, of alien and extraterrestrial life and things. But the 4-part series for this was really quite good. And it makes me sound like a weird sci-fi, like conspiracy theory nerd. But I guess the good thing about this show is it starts to take it a bit more seriously, and it gets it away from those things like that Gaia. Like it gets it away from the crackpots and starts to put it towards people that are respected, and information that's respectable. Um, which I think is important because I remember I watched the Netflix show Explained. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, and that had a episode on extraterrestrial life, and the way that they calculated it was that there in the universe there's 10,000 stars for every grain of sand on Earth. So if you think about that amount of
Jeez.
stars, if 5% of those stars are like our sun, then there's the potential for there to be 500 billion suns in the universe. So chances are that in 500 billion suns, that there's going to be a planet revolving around them that's similar to ours somewhere in the universe.
Oh yeah, like I agree. It's got to be mathematically impossible that we're the only place.
Exactly. So I guess this takes it into, well, why are we kind of ignoring all the information we have? There was one that I'd never heard of. It was Phoenix Lights. It happened in 1997 over Phoenix in Arizona, and there were these lights that hung in the sky in this weird like V shape, and it was sitting there for hours and hours, moving around, and it was spotted by over 2,000 people. Um, and over time, the government said that they were going to investigate it, this, that, and the other, until eventually at a press conference, the local, I think it was the governor, but he came out with this massive press conference and was like, "We worked it out. We worked it out." And all the people that thought that had seen something, all these people were in agreement that it wasn't normal. And they brought out a fake person dressed up in handcuffs with a fake alien suit on. We're like, "Oh, we got him," and made a big joke out of it. And then they never looked at it again. So people just try and push it under the rug. And I think it's a really cool documentary series that takes it from the perspective of like civilian witnesses, like the Phoenix Lights. They take it from government officials and interview people like that governor or government officials that have tried to look into things. And then all the way up to military that have, I mean, a lot of those fighter pilots and things. They actually released footage recently where a couple of fighter pilots tracked on their weapons cams things that they didn't know what they were.
Yep. Yeah, I remember seeing that video.
Yeah, and in the end, they've released a lot of that amount of footage. There's some from the International Space Station where you can see things coming and going, and at least the government to this point now have officially declared that they don't know what they are, which I think is nice because it means that a lot of those people felt like in 1997 felt like they were, I guess, made fun of. And when there's thousands of other people that are doing the same thing as you to be made fun of, it must be really frustrating for them. Like me personally, I've never seen anything, but I believe there would be something, quote the X Files, something out there. But yeah, interesting perspective to see it from different people that are involved in different things. And it was, yeah, even to the point where they took it that you can look at how quickly our technology has advanced since the end of World War II, when they thought that the Roswell crash happened, that we've got things like optic fiber and small microchips. And if you look at the boom in technology that we've had, there's a bit of a link there that people can try and make. There's a lot of mystery to it, But I think this series does a really good attempt at making it more official, not so silly. It makes it like the production value, like you say, with Paramount have done a similar thing here. It doesn't look like grainy hand cam footage or some weird guy that thinks he can telepathically communicate with people on that Gaia platform. It's actually respectable people talking about serious things.
Yep.
So I found it really interesting. I don't know if you're someone that is skeptical. I guess you'd still be skeptical, but if you're someone that's kind of on the edge or that believes that, like I said, that there's a potential for extraterrestrial life and whatever it is, it definitely created a lot of wonder in me, and it just has an impact of making you feel small. That there's a lot more out there, but I guess overall for me, I take that feeling connected to something that you just don't know what it is. So I don't know. I like the music.
Yeah, like you're saying, with the technology just increasing tenfold, like even this morning when Apple did their announcement of the new Macs and AirPods and stuff, when they had showed the new M1 chips, like they only just put those out last year, the original M1s, and now they've got the M1 Pro, which is, I think they said like 4 times faster, and then they have the M1 Max, which is like 16 times faster and just has I think it was like 16 cores on the one piece of silicon. It's just like, how did we get that much improvement in such a short time? Like it's just
Just
crazy.
scary.
But yeah, computers. Wow.
I don't know. It's worth a watch, and it kind of like I said, if you're someone that can enjoy the mystery of it and has an interest in it, it was definitely worth a watch for me. I actually really, really enjoyed it.
And yeah, now that you're on the Paramount, how are you finding that service and the offerings and the platform itself in terms of how usable it is?
Yeah, I like it. But I think we talked about it previously. Like, it's just not quite up to the cost yet. When you can get the same sort of stuff from somewhere else, like there's nothing other than that. There's not too many other exclusives. I guess it feels like I can get a lot of the other things on other platforms,
Yep.
and save money. So I want to keep it. I want to like it. It was there, but the amount of stuff that's new probably doesn't justify the cost just yet. I feel like they're going to get there.
Yeah, once they start to roll out like the things that they're producing specifically for that platform, I think it'll be good. We get the new Dexter in the next month or so, so I'm excited for that. There's a show on there called Rust that looks pretty cool, and there's a new Dan Brown series as well that I'm sort of looking forward to checking out at some point. It's just with so many services now and so much stuff coming out every week, it's kind of a matter of just finding time to invest into series and
it's
different
become a
new
really
shows.
competitive market. Like it's hard when someone brings something out. Like you're always going to be compared to somewhere like Netflix, obviously been around the longest for us, or Amazon Prime's got a bunch of stuff, like a lot of content, or Apple TV's got the really high quality. It's hard to find their niche to fit into, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. Well, like I was saying, I think I was speaking to Jackson about it. Like, I kind of now miss the days of everything just being on Foxtel.
Yeah.
Buy the one package and just get it all, and don't have to worry. Now you have 15 different subscriptions and probably pay just as much as you were when you had the full package of Foxtel.
Yeah, and now they've started doing they're their own ads, but they've started doing ads as well.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
which is what Foxtel did, which lost a lot of people. It went from no commercials to commercials, and now this is doing a similar thing.
Yep. And yeah, like you've got you've got all the entertainment things split off into different things. You've got all the sports now are slowly splitting off too onto different platforms. I thought that was like the whole selling point of KO. All the sport was just going to be there, and now there's sport on Optus, there's sport on Stan. Yeah, fun times if you're trying to watch something.
Yeah, I'm thankful that the Apple TV, like I said last time, has where you can search across the platforms. Makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah, you just pay for the subscription and then just keep it all in that one platform and make it easier for yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the last thing I watched on Apple TV. Have you seen Schmigadoon?
I've seen it advertised. It doesn't appeal to me. Should it?
Well, coming from a house where musicals are a big thing, and I always enjoyed Key and Peele, the comedy show. So it's Keegan Michael Key from Key and Peele, and I've forgotten her name. It is Cecily Strong. So they're playing a couple that fall in love at work. That as couples do sometimes, I guess they fizzle out a bit and they start to try and go on a couples retreat to get their love life back in order. They get sent out on a big hike and somehow walk across this bridge and stumble their way into a 1940s musical, which is a really weird plot line, but it's funny. Like, it's not something that's going to win any story writing awards, but they're not allowed out of this 1940s musical until they've found true love. So they spend the whole time trying to work out how they're going to do that, trying to sort of fake it or what they're going to do and trying to get their relationship in order at the same time. But as we keep saying with Apple, like, I think it's really well made in terms of the songs, the dances, and things are really spot on to sort of the old musicals, but they're funny. I get a real sort of what was the South Park musical that they did? Book of Mormon.
Yep.
I get like a kind of a Book of Mormon vibe here and there. Like, it's obviously not as appropriate, but you get a Book of Mormon vibe that they're doing the 1940s musical, but they're singing about something completely inappropriate, or completely inappropriate to the genre. So I find it really funny, and I find that the leading characters, especially Keegan, is really good at his reactions to those things, and how it is exactly how I would react if stuck in a musical. I find it really funny to watch. That the songs are really well made, the dances are really well made. They're funny. I think the only thing that kind of happens is they get so caught up in creating funny songs and dances that sometimes the story falls behind and gets a bit confusing or frustrating, that it doesn't really move like you'd want it to.
Yep.
But it is funny to watch and well made. I enjoyed it. Easy viewing again.
Yeah, I think I saw the ad pop up when I was watching either Ted Lasso or something. I was like, no, that doesn't really do much for me. So
yeah. Well, coming from a house where we try to backpack and hike and enjoy musicals sometimes, I'm Ian more than me, but yeah, it's funny. And he gets frustrated exactly like I. Every time I watch a musical, I just don't understand. If you could just say it, say it. Why do you have to sing it? And it's exactly how he reacts in the musical. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, there's quite a few things coming out on Apple TV in the next few months, so that's exciting. There, that they're not just relying on the same 4 or 5 things anymore. They're branching out and doing lots of weird, different things. Did you finish Mr. Corman, or did you give up on that?
I started to try and do it, and then got weirded out.
Okay, yep. It sounds like pretty much everybody that's tried that is on the same page.
Yeah.
I gave up after like 3 episodes. Jackson persevered and watched the entire thing,
Well
and
done,
then at the end was just like, yeah, that show sucked.
Yeah.
He was excited when there was no new episodes.
Yeah, I'm a school teacher that likes Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it was hard.
So what is your top recommendation for the week?
That's a hard. Like, they're all quite good. I would have to put it between Bad Sport or UFO. I just enjoyed watching aliens. So yeah, Bad Sport if you're somebody that likes true crime. UFO if you're somebody that likes.
Okay, perfect. For me, it is Vigil. Like I said, 6 episodes. Watched them in 2 days, so really hooked me in. And I think a lot of people are sort of sleeping on that show because it is binge, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, strangely. So I think people need to check that one out.
Start it right now.
Yeah, especially like the spy espionage thing. I was like, oh, that's a buddy show for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services, YouTube, and here on twitch.tv/JamieAppsMedia. You can follow Buddy on Instagram at a.b_CSEE. Check out Lady Graham and watch her recovery story.
To get a cute cast.
And you can follow me on social media at JamieUps Media and at Pario Magazine. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of JamieUps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieUpsMedia. The following people supported at the community support group level or above, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Blake Robinson, Brian and June Hart, Courtney Paulson, Jackson Carr, and Tracy. Awesome. Thank you, buddy. Go back to looking after the injury-prone dog.
Will do. Thanks, mate.